Hi, my name is Jeff Fassbinder. I'm with Align, and today we're going to be working on the Trex 700E V2. We're going to do the build process, and I'm going to walk you through the assembly of the various sub-assemblies within the kit as it's outlined within the manual. This is a supplemental video to the manual, and basically provided as a visual aid to see what you need to do in order to ensure safe operation of your helicopter. So make sure you take a look at this video, see all the various aspects of it, see what's new with the V2, and just get an overall assessment of what you're going to need when you're assembling your helicopter. So if you watch along, I think you'll find that it's easy to put together this helicopter. It's got a great number of new features that I think you'll enjoy seeing, and also you enjoy it in the flying aspect as well. And this is the rotor head. Within the rotor head assembly here, we have the 700FL-H7, and basically you'll see a rotor head, and you'll notice that the spindle pops loose here. It's floating. The reason that it is that way is so that way you know that this has been assembled, but it's a pre-assembly in order to ensure that the parts are all present within the kit. You still need to take these various items apart, basically like deconstruction if you will, and putting anaerobic retainer in those various bolts throughout the kit. I'll point those out as we do the build, but this ensures that you have all your items in the package and make sure that you don't have any items missing within your particular kit. So just want to make you aware of building. Alright, got our anaerobics here, 58Z006. Let's go ahead and cut that open. We have some grease, and I also have here some parchment paper. And the reason I brought this out, you can use something else like plastic or one of the plastic bags included with the kit. But for our Loctite, we can use this to put the Loctite on it so it doesn't get on our towel or our tables and so forth. And put a little dab there, and then dab your screws inside of the little pool or drop of the Loctite, and get that on your screws that way, if you choose to. If not, you can just dispense it from the bottle. So let's open this up. Let's open this up. So there's your rotor head right out of the bag there. And the head button, you have the 700FL-H7A. Let's go ahead and open this up. There's our pitch gauge for doing pitch when we get there, and then that rod that's included with the boom and other supplies. That's what that's for. There's our bolts, our head button, main blade grip bolts. There's two there. The nuts there. We have a couple of ball links here. We'll go ahead and move these aside for a moment. Alright. And let's see what else we have here. One shorty. And two of those. Okay, and then we have the main shaft bolt here and a nut. Got, let's see, two short balls, two long balls, and we have Allen screws here. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. Alright, take the Loctite out. Get that going. Get our grease ready. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by taking a look at the grips here. the right size first of all. And we're going to back this screw out. And we're going to take a look at the bearings and so forth here. So I put that there. Push this out. Spindle. And let's see. There's a washer there, right from the inside of the grip there. So we have that. And the dampener is already pre-installed for you. But what we're going to do is we're going to grease that up. We're going to grease up the feathering spindle here. So let's go ahead and I'm going to put a little bit of grease on the inside here. And use one of my tools here just to that there. Apply it to the spindle as well. Just put that in there. Get a little lube on there. Let me get a towel here. For your hands, for your bolts, you should have a towel there. Go ahead and insert this. We got a little bit of grease inside there. That moves freely. Work that a little bit. Okay, and right now the bolt's kind of locked up on this side. So I'm going to get that optional tool I told you about. That 700 feathering shaft wrench. And utilize it for this because it's a brand new main shaft, or I should say feathering spindle, and I don't want to mar it or anything. So I'm going to check out this tool here. Let's see. Alright, let's see if we got it set up the right way here. Let's get our wrench. Let's check this out. Okay. Flip that over if it's not going the right direction that you need. And it's quite simply, I'm just pulling that off there. Pull that bolt out. Holds onto the feathering spindle. And I don't need to create any damage to my spindle. Alright, so pull that off. There's two washers on both sides. Let's go ahead and put these back. That go between the dampener and the bearing assembly there. So let's put that. And I'm going to pull these Allen bolts out. Make sure you keep them separate from the rest here. Okay. Now let's see about this bearing. Checking out the thrust bearing here. Let me see. Borrow that spindle here. There. I'm going to use this to try and walk the bearing out a little bit. All right. Let me pull the other grip post off here. Put those screws right here. Alright, so there's those. We'll put the grips aside for the moment here. Alright, let's get started on that rotor head. I have the complete parts laid out right here in front of you. And what I've done is I've taken the thrust bearings out of the rotor grip. What you may need to do in order to do that, it may require you to heat them. You could do that with basically like a monocoque type of heat gun or a paint stripper type gun. Just get them warm, and then what you're going to need to do is smack them down on a hard surface. I've chosen not to do that here on my table here, but you can do that on a surface in one of your benches or something in your garage, and smack it down like that, and they'll pop out. And the reason for doing that, even though Align's built all this stuff, it comes again kind of pre-assembled. That's mainly just for parts and to verify that the parts are there. But the reason why you want to take it apart is to check the bearings. Make sure that they have grease. Then you'll feel that there is some lubrication on here, but we're going to grease them up just to ensure that we have good lubrication. Also, you'll note on the actual shields, it'll say out and in. Okay, facing out, when it says out, means to the outer part of the grip. So out is this one facing up. You want it to the outside of the grip, facing your rotor blades. So that's the out. When your bearing on the inside, what you want to look at is the shielded part facing outward. So that way when you grease this here, the actual grease is captured. If you flipped it the other way, what will happen is your grease will just basically fling out of all your grips, and you won't have any type of lubrication, or lubrication if you will, to ensure that your bearings stay friction free. So we're going to go ahead and lube these up. Again, out faces towards the rotor blade. So we're going to do that right now. Get my grease here, and we're going to load this up with grease. And be generous, because this is your rotor head assembly. You want it to operate and move nice and free. Okay, you'll notice that there's a washer here. Don't confuse that with your washers on the spindle. Okay, there's a washer here that's included in the actual grip assembly. The thrust bearing goes to the inside of the grip. The washer goes towards this bearing here. So what we're going to do is we stack it up like this. Again, this says out on the shield. We're going to stack this on top, and then this sealed bearing is going to go on top here like this, and that's going to go within your grip. Now you can use your spindle to insert this. You can go like this with the spindle if you choose. Get that in there, slide that in, and then basically slide this into your grip. What I'm going to do before I do that is I'm going to grease up the back side too here. Put a little grease on this side. Right now, this is the outside. Where the sealed bearing is, this is the outside. This is towards the rotor hub. So this isn't go. I'm going to insert this into the grip here. So we'll insert that in, and we got that seated now. Now that's seated in there, and we're going to do it to the other side. Same thing. We're going to go ahead and make sure out is out, in is in. It says in, and then it says, put that washer down there, out. Let's get the grease on here. Load this up. Grease here. Alright, and that goes towards the inside, the open face, and just like we did when we had it on the feathering spindle there, I'm going to lubricate, put some grease on this outer part. Okay, out, again, washer goes on top of that, and that goes between the thrust bearing and the inner race of your sealed bearing. Sealed bearing goes here. Alright, this is the outside, so we're going to go ahead and stick the spindle in from this side. We'll insert that. Again, we got our washer, our thrust bearing out, and on this side, It says in. That's going to be inserted into the other grip here. Put that in here. Just pull that through like that. Drag it through. And now you've lubricated your thrust bearings, ensured that they're in there, they're lubricated, and it's going to make your rotor head system nice and smooth. So lubricate this. I'm going to go ahead and slide this through the rotor head block. Have our washer right there, you can see. Push this through. Put our other washer on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to actually put the Loctite, put a drop inside here, and put a drop on this side. See if we can get a little drop here. Just a little drop there. And let me go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and, just to be super sure, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit on the thread here. Just in the thread, because you don't want to get it on your bearings and cause it to bind up. Let me get the wrench. We'll put this through the actual grip. And we're going to go ahead and insert this. As soon as we catch some thread there, we're just going to start it. Let's get that started. Pull that through. And then let's do the same on the other side. We already have a little bit of Loctite there, but again, we're going to put a little bit of Loctite right here. It's our grips. And the way we are utilizing our helicopters these days, we want to make sure that we secure them properly. So go ahead and pop this in here, pop that through, tighten this one down. Alright, and here's a good time to have another driver. I just happen to have another driver here on hand, and we're going to tighten this up. Make sure that the bolts are tight. Tighten that down. And we're going to make sure that we're operating nice and free. We want it to be nice and free. Got that grease in there. It's all lubed up and we're good. Alright, so that's lubricated. Now let's put our grip post on. We already put the ball link on, the longer ball with the shoulder. It's got a truncated look to it. We're going to go ahead and stick this on here. And let's get a little Loctite. And I'll go ahead and put that on the screw here. Again, you could put that on parchment paper, wax paper, put a little dab there, work with it that way, or put it directly on. I'll do it both ways here. Pull a little out. Okay. You can do it that way and then just pick up a little as you need it. Don't put too much because this stuff does dry out. Just put that in there. Snug it down. And let's do the other side. This is a feature of the V2, these grip posts. So if you ever happen to have a mishap causing you to bend the grip post on the V2, you can simply replace that post there and continue to utilize your grip. So that's another feature of the V2. Alright, let me get the excess, if there's any excess or anything like that on there. Let's put that there. And once we've done that, we want to check out these other bolts here. They're loose. Okay, the mixing arms here. Go ahead and pull that off. And on this, just get it on the thread. You don't want it anywhere else other than on the thread. You don't want to get this on your bearings. You want your mixing arms to operate nice and freely. So make sure that's the case. Just get your finger on there, and you can turn that on there. Tighten that down. Snug and operating freely. Alright, now let's look at these little micro bolts here. This one's very tight. Very tight. Appears there's Loctite on there. On those ones, on these screws here, feels really tight. Bearings right there. It's been Loctited, but just as a precautionary measure, I'm going to check. 1, 2, we're going to take this one off. Again, do not get it in the bearing, just put it on the tip of the screw. The Allen hex bolt here. That tight. Again, make sure that's nice and free. Let's flip it over. This has the new head block, the rotor head block. And instead of being squeezed by this bolt here, it utilizes the block itself to compress onto the main shaft. So I can Loctite this too. Let me again. Go ahead and make sure that's in there. Let's insert this. Smooth operation. Let's do these. Okay. This one had Loctite on it, but I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And if you're passing through the bearing, do what I just did there, which is try to remove the excess and just get it on the actual thread of the bolt. So that way it doesn't get, again, on the bearings. We don't want that. Alright, and let's do the inside. Leave the bearing on, just get it on the tip. Make sure, just on the tip. And we'll insert that. And we'll have nice free moving parts. Okay. Go ahead and put these bolts for our blade grips for the main rotor blades. Stick these right here, so that way we don't have a bunch of screws laying around. Okay. Alright, we have this bolt. It's going to go through for your main shaft. And we also have these two large bolts here that will secure it to the main shaft. We'll get to that in just a bit. So let's go ahead and put those two screws there. Get the head button. And we have the bolt for that head button there. Then we have a number of ball links there. And then we have balls in that. Alright, so moving on to the next set of operation here, it would be the main shaft. So just like you see in your manual, you're going to pull out that 700 FLH4. I'm going to go ahead and pop this open. We have our main shaft and our swash plate. Again, the swash plate, if you look at it here, looks like it's been pre-assembled for you. You'll also notice that it has 2 long balls and there's 2 balls missing. Well, those 2 balls that were over here with your rotor head are part of this build process. So that's where those balls come from. Alright, and you also have your main shaft right here. And you have a number of little washers here. It's well lubricated. Let me put that there. And you have your washers. You got some thick, thin, like a medium thickness. So you have those there. Before we get to that, let's do the balls here. Again, these are loose. They're hand tight. So this is why you want to make sure that you go through and check all the screws and bolts here. And that's what we just did with the head. So although Align provides it to us pre-assembled, we do need to go through and Loctite all the components. You have 2 long balls on the Swashplate here. 2 longer balls. Okay, we're going to go ahead and make sure that we do those first. And they're Loctited. We're going to do that again. Pull that off. Some Loctite on there. Well, we don't want to do that. You see what I just did? I put them not parallel to each other. I did put them perpendicular to one another. And that's not what we want. We want the 2 long balls on the same plane. So we want those 2 longer balls there. The shorter balls, we're going to go ahead and put here on the swash. Let's go ahead and put some Loctite on these. Put that there. And then we'll do the outside balls, perimeter balls here. If you've built any other Align products, 450, 500, 550, 600, you'll notice that the assembly process is very similar to your other kits. Sorry about that, I just dropped one of my balls here. And that's another reason why I'm building on a table like this. I have my towel here to prevent loss of screws and or bolts while I'm assembling it. The helicopter, you want to make sure that you have a nice area that's open, easy to work on, and that way if you do drop something, it's easy to find, easy to see. If you work on a carpeted surface or something to that effect, you can also put a piece of carpet type material on your workbench, and that'll prevent the screws from trying to, you know, roll away off your bench when you're trying to work on it. So the Align has these towels that are available. You can get these. Great for working out in the field when you're on in a grassy area or wherever you are, just to ensure that your screws don't try and depart on you. Alright, so we got the swash plate here. We also have the main shaft. You'll notice that there is the insignia logo here, Align, and it says the 700 FL for flybarless. Okay, this part where it says Align actually goes into your frame. This top portion goes to your rotor assembly. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and stick the swash on here. I'm going to slide this in here. I'm going to pull this bolt out of the way because we're going to stick it through there right now. And make sure these are on the appropriate side. Okay. And we'll line that up. Line the main shaft up with that bolt there. And let's put the nut on the back side here. Let's get that secured. And then what we'll also do is we'll get these larger bolts. We're going to go ahead and Loctite this to the main shaft. And we'll stick that in here. Tight. Tight, tight, tight on the grip. Just nice firm. Stabilize that so that way the Loctite's right there when I need it. Alright, let's go ahead and get that on there. And we have a nut here we need to grab. You can use various things, whether it be hemostats, needle nose, pliers, whatever you have. I'm going to go ahead and use a pair of needle nose here. I'm going to grab it onto this side just to hold the nut in place while I twist this down. Okay, that's secure. Okay, we have that. Again, these washers, we'll utilize these to set the amount of height requirement between this sleeve here and the bearing block to take any end play out of the main shaft on the rotor head system. So that's the rotor head system right there. And as far as hooking these up, we're going to hook those up here shortly. We're going to get the rods, which we're going to pull out of that universal pack, and they are in the 700FLZ4A. There's a bunch of rods in here, so we're going to get that. Look at our manual. You want to check on page 6 of your manual what it is that you need. And right now we're going to be looking for a 65 millimeter rod, 2 of them to be exact. So let's get those. Let's look for some 65 millimeter rods. And this is a good time to have your pitch gauge handy here. And I'll explain why. Let me grab the pitch gauge, on the align pitch gauge in particular. Let me grab that. On the align pitch gauge, it does include a ruler that we're going to use. And so we're looking for a 65. So let's find 65. There it is. There's its matching partner there. I'll move these guys over here for now. Okay, 65, and we're going to need to measure the linkage to approximately 83.5 millimeters from center to center, and we're going to use the longer of these ball links. So we're going to go ahead and do this, and most likely this is going to require our ball link pliers here to hold this, to make it easier on us. So let's go ahead and make sure we get the one that's larger. This is like a pretty thick shaft, so make sure you get the ball links that are suited for that. You notice the hole. So these longer ones I was just looking at actually are for the servos, so let me put that aside. But these ones that have a band around them, you'll notice the hole, if you look inside, it's actually much larger than the others. So you're going to need these for these links. Again, we're looking for 83.5 millimeters or thereabouts. And let's go ahead and from center to center, we'll go ahead and measure that. 83. Okay, it's just to get started. So from center to center, we still got a little torquing to go here. We'll get that going. Okay, and if one side's going off, again, get your ball links, pliers, even it up that way, so that we have equal thread on both sides. Let's take a look, see how we're doing here. Almost there. Really close. Let's see. There's A's too on these links. So your A's face outward. Let's see. And let me check that one more time here. A little bit more. Okay, let's see. Take your time on doing these. The more accurate you are with your rods, the easier your setup's going to be later on, as far as when you're doing your radio setup. Okay, I think we're right on the money there. Alright, let's do the other one. Again, thick rod, make sure we got the big old ball link. Let's do that. Screw these on here. Basically, when you're doing this, you also, just as a visual, there's basically like 2 to 3 thread splines showing to get the measurement. So if you're turning, so you don't have to keep measuring. Once you get your first one there, you kind of have a visual aid to note that. So if you get about 2 to 3 on one side and tightens up, grab your balling pliers and then just screw down on the other side here. Okay, so let's just get our caliper here and see where we're at. See how close we are. Almost there. About to turn. Okay. And right there. Alright, so now we have our 2 links that we'll be utilizing to go from the swash plate up to the grip post. So let's go ahead and do this. Put this A facing out, snap that on. Okay, and people ask all the time, which is it, the short or the long bolt? It's the short bolt, and you'll notice because I made them parallel to each other, these ball links, I'm going to have to rotate this 90. So let's go 90. So now the A is facing out down here. On the short ball, pop that on. On these washout arms, it goes to the long ball. And we'll go ahead and stick this side on. Get over here so I have better leverage. There we go. And let's get this, again, A facing out. If you don't put the A facing out, it'll be very hard to push it on over the ball. Alright, so let's go ahead and do it again. Short side. Alright, so now we got our rotor head there. And our washers. Like we said, we'll be utilizing those later. But that's the nuts and bolts of the rotor head assembly there. And we've lubricated the thrust bearings. We've Loctited the grips. We've Loctited the washout arms. These outer arms here we've Loctited. We've Loctited all the balls on the swash plate. And now we have a secure rotor head system as far as our bolts are concerned here. We also Loctited these 2 screws here that attach to the main shaft. And then we didn't Loctite actually. There's a nylon nut there that captures this bolt, holds it in place. So there's the rotor head assembly, and let's see what the manual has in store for us as the next phase of our build assembly.